What could you buy with $40 billion? It's a sum of money so vast, it's almost an abstraction. Yet, for Mark Zuckerberg, it was the price of a dream, a new reality he called the Metaverse. But if you visit that dream today, you won't find a bustling digital city. You'll find a ghost world, a brightly colored cartoonish wasteland that cost more to build than the GDP of many nations. This is the story of the single most expensive bet in tech history. The question isn't just how this happened, it's why. Is this a tale of a visionary genius or a desperate CEO betting his empire on an escape hatch? The answer is far more peculiar than you can imagine.
Wow.
The idea of the metaverse, a shared virtual universe, was a sci-fi fantasy for decades. So why in 2021 did it suddenly become Silicon Valley's obsession? The answer is simple: platform control. By the early 2020s, the digital world ran on Google's Android and Apple's iOS. Facebook, for all its power, was merely a tenant. An Apple privacy update could, and did, wipe out billions from its revenue overnight. This was an existential threat. Zuckerberg knew that the company that owns the next great computing platform after the smartphone would control the future. This race was also personal. His company faced an identity crisis. Tainted by scandals and seen as a network for an older generation, Facebook was losing its cool to rivals like TikTok. The brand was toxic. And so, in October 2021 came the audacious pivot. Facebook, the company, would be renamed Meta. It was a declaration that they were no longer just building apps. They were building a new universe, leveraging the VR startup Oculus. The vision was seductive, an embodied 3D internet for work, play, and socializing. It was a dream worth billions. It would cost even more. A dream, no matter how grand, eventually meets reality. For Meta, that meeting has been a brutal, multi-billion-dollar collision. The money pit is a division called Reality Labs. Its financial statements are staggering. In 2022, it lost $13.7 billion. In 2023, another $16.1 billion vanished. By mid-2025, the cumulative losses soared past the $40 billion mark, more than Uber has lost in its entire public history. For that price, you'd expect a miracle. What Meta delivered was Horizon Worlds. The reaction wasn't awe, it was ridicule. The graphics were panned, looking more like a game from a 2006 Nintendo Wii. The avatars were basic, cartoonish, and most famously, they had no legs, just floating torsos that became a global meme. But the real problem wasn't the graphics, it was the emptiness. Internal reports revealed a grim reality. Most users didn't return after their first month. The platform's user base struggled to reach 200,000, a rounding error compared to Meta's 3 billion other users. The world's most expensive social club was a ghost town. The reasons were painfully clear. The VR hardware was still too clunky. It was a solution in search of a problem with no compelling killer app, and its sterile, top-down corporate vision of fun felt completely inauthentic. The infinite dream had become a finite, legless nightmare. Faced with a $40 billion black hole, any other CEO might have quit, but Zuckerberg has simply changed the subject. The new magic word is AI. Reality Labs still burns billions, but the narrative has shifted to AI-powered smart glasses. This has led many to declare the metaverse dead, a failed fad, and they might be right. The vision of Horizon Worlds is almost certainly a failure. But to believe that's the end of the story is to misunderstand the game being played. What if the $40 billion wasn't for Horizon Worlds at all? What if the ghost world was never the real destination, but merely a very expensive, very public laboratory? While the world was laughing at avatars, Meta was quietly becoming the world's leading seller of VR hardware. They were building the foundational software, the operating system, for spatial computing. They were capturing mountains of data on how humans interact in 3D space. The real prize was never a video game. The real prize is what comes after the smartphone. The battle is for the operating system of augmented reality, the company that controls the software on the glasses that will one day replace our phones controls the future. From this perspective, the $40 billion isn't a loss. It's the cost of entry for a war against Apple and Google. And this is where the story takes its peculiar turn. We were sold a vision of escaping into a separate reality. But the technology forged in that failed experiment is now being pointed back at our own world. The goal is no longer to replace reality, but to augment it, to blend the digital and the physical seamlessly.